the thing is it cannot replace you as a parent. And that's, I think, the main thing that I learned was you cannot have the expectation of I'm going to install a silver bullet app on their device or on our home network, and it's going to take all this scary, difficult parenting stuff away, and it's going to be fine.
It's a brand new day.
Listeners, it is our privilege to introduce to the podcast a great man, a great human being, and my friend, Aaron Branson. Aaron is joining us to discuss the parent's perspective in managing our children on digital devices and social media. And what's so great about this conversation is that as parents, we do what we feel works best for our own family dynamic. There's no hard and fast rule in establishing expectations and boundaries for our children, which is why we feel these conversations are so powerful. And the hope is that as listeners, you're able to walk away with something new or something you haven't considered to add to an ever-evolving bag of tools. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Aaron to the show. Aaron, welcome.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Nicole. Glad to. It's a great topic.
Yes. Thanks for being here. We're going to start with just getting a little information about you. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Sure. Yeah. I'm married. My wife, Maureen, we've been married for 24 years. Can't believe it. 24 years. We've got 5 kids. They range. We have a 22-year-old. He's moved out off the payroll. We have a 19-year-old in college, a 16-year-old in high school, a 13-year-old in 8th grade, and an 11-year-old in 5th grade. So we got kind of the whole gamut there. But we have a kind of a big, crazy house. The 7 of us, well, 6 since one's moved out, and 5 most of the time since another one's at college. But we also host some international college students for when, holidays, Thanksgiving, and summer sometimes. So it's a busy place, but I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You have such a great family dynamic, and yes, you do stay busy. And before we get to the topic at hand, Aaron, we're always interested in how our guests interact on social media. How do you engage both personally and professionally, and what does that look like for you on a daily basis?
I'm in marketing, so as head of marketing, I kind of on the professional side have to be somewhat involved in social media. So, but definitely more on the professional slant. I'm in LinkedIn every single day, whether it's networking or whether it's representing the company and producing content for the business. Personally / professionally, also in a lot of Slack communities, whether they're marketing related, cybersecurity related, a few personal Slack communities like a men's fitness group that I'm a member of. And so my buddies in that group, that's how we communicate. But LinkedIn and Slack are really professionally and personally the social media that I use.
I would imagine with it being more professional based, it's much ado about nothing, not a lot of misuse or craziness that you see in those channels.
Yeah, nothing gets out of hand, but you want to be authentic. You want to be yourself in that environment, but you also just want to be mindful of a huge diversity of people reading your messages.
So you mentioned you have 5 children ranging from all different ages. What would you say has been the most challenging aspect of digital devices and social media for your children specifically?
Oh, man. I think it's been just keeping the negative and harmful content away from their eyes, away from their minds that comes at them from the world, whether they're looking for it or not. As soon as they get a device and it's connected, and they have access to anything and everything, and anything and everything has access to them if you don't do anything about it. And that's kind of the scariest part is you have to be intentional, and you have to guard your kids from the world and the digital world as well.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, at what age do you let your children have their own digital device or access social media? Because you're right, so much gets thrown at them.
Let's see. We do it at graduation of 8th grade. So it's a little bit of an uphill fight, because it seems like younger and younger, their peers are getting devices and full access to social media. So we're still, swimming upstream, kind of fighting that battle and holding to this end of 8th grade. And we kind of use that as leverage as well, We kind of make it a milestone, make them work for it a little bit and make sure they're mature enough. And it gives us time to teach them a little bit about the responsibility involved. And then just to top it off, because we're mean parents, I guess, our motto is do hard things. So we make them run a 5K at the graduation of 8th grade as the final capstone of earning their device.
Love that. It's all about balance.
So what are some of the ways in which you've seen social media work well for your children outside of the school?
The one thing I can think of right off the bat is like Instagram with the funny reels and the short videos. That our whole family huddles around a phone and cracks up at some of the reels. And so the 11-year-old up to the 22-year-old. And so there's kind of a bit of family bonding about some of the good, clean and legitimately hilarious content that's out there in some places. So that's where I've seen it actually be beneficial to our family, get the 11-year-old to the 22-year-old and everyone in between laughing and having a good time together. And also I don't know if you call it social media or more of a messenger, but we use Telegram as our family communication app. But it is, I guess I call it social media because we got our inner circle of the people still at the house, an outer ring that includes my oldest, the kids that are grown and out of the house, and then a bigger ring that's more extended family. So we use Telegram to be able to communicate, even to share, something motivational, something inspirational, or just something goofy.
Yeah, I find myself sharing some of those same type of videos with my family as well. So one of the things that just popped in my mind, and I've always wanted to talk more about this, is the YouTube channel two of your children had. If I remember, pretty successful at that.
Yeah.
It was fun, but do you mind talking a little bit about that experience and how it ended?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I think of it. I never really thought of it in terms of social media, but yeah, the two middle boys who are now 16 and 13, probably like 3 years ago. So I guess they were 11 and 13 respectively at the time, but they really got into this doing trick shots. And oh my gosh, it consumed them so much. It started with, I think, watching, a lot of people have heard of Dude Perfect. They were watching their videos and they're pretty outrageous and entertaining trick shots that they do. For me, it was amazing because I love seeing those two glued at the hip and having a great time together and having that brotherly love and having a good time. But they created a YouTube channel and just doing, things that us as adults were like, what? Why is that entertaining? Like the bottle flip phase that people were doing. But they'd get thousands and thousands of subscribers and likes and like had a following of other kids commenting. I forget the stats now because they hung it up a little while ago. But that was such a good tool for them to not only have a hobby together, to learn some actual physical skills, sports and athletics, but also technical and technology skills, and also communication skills of when to post, how to title it, and how to handle comments. But also to see if they had good, clean fun, and that there was a community of kids like-minded that really admired what they were doing. It had a little following, and then they felt that responsibility of I don't know, they felt that pride of putting that together, but also this responsibility of putting together good content and quality content. So they really took it to heart. The way it kind of ended was, it actually started to become too much, actually, for my oldest, right before he went into high school. And he's a thinker. He's always mindful of other people. It's kind of his, that's just something special about his personality. But it was starting to weigh on him how much he was, felt that he had to put out a new video. And he actually came to me and said, I don't know if I like it anymore. I find myself not doing it for the fun of it. I'm not out there shooting baskets, throwing a football for the fun of it. I see my mind all day long thinking about what is going to be the right shot and all this, and it was consuming him. And he put together a really nice farewell video, him and his younger brother, and they posted it, and they really walked away from it. Every once in a while, we check into it as a family and watch the videos again because they're so cool to kind of relive and to see the views and the comments are still racking up, but they've stayed detached from it and really did let it end with that farewell video.
I absolutely love those videos. I was subscribed. It was so great to see the camaraderie, just as you described. I just always found it so interesting that when you shared that they felt overwhelmed by it and they came to that realization on their own. And I love the lines of communication being open so they felt comfortable to come to you before the emotions got out of hand. And without that support, it could have easily become something of a mental health issue or something that just kept grinding them down for much longer than it really needed to. And I think that's what's so critical and what's missing a lot of times. It's just that open communication, the trust between the parents and the children regarding social media usage, and just being able to have that two-way dialogue open and at any time. So kudos to you again, you and your wife. Absolutely love that they came to you. It's a huge win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the communication and they knew you were checking out the channel and that you kept a close eye on it and knew what they were doing on it, I think is critical too. And kind of going along with that, do you have any tools or resources that you use as parents that equip your children to be good digital citizens and maybe not be on it too often? Like, do you have limits or things that you have in place?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say we've gone through a lot of cycles of trying different tools. And I think everyone should have some technology and tools to help them in this trying to manage this digital world for your kids. We've used Covenant Eyes, we've used Circle, we've used Bark, and all of them had really good features. And we kind of went through phases where we really have to kind of like inspect your IT environment as a parent in terms of your household and what's going to work for which kids and which situations, and always be open to evaluating how is this working. Because the thing is it cannot replace you as a parent. And that's, I think, the main thing that I learned was you cannot have the expectation of I'm going to install a silver bullet app on their device or on our home network, and it's going to take all this scary, difficult parenting stuff away, and it's going to be fine. That's you can't just stick your head in the sand and think that's going to cut it. But you definitely should have something. Whether like today, after going through all those phases, today I don't have an app installed on the phone anymore because we have Wi-Fi limits as far as time limits and daytime limits, like it turns off at a certain time of night and turns back on early in the morning. What we've really done is those are secondary to the personal one-on-one check-in and review. My son knows that we're going to sit down in my office side by side in this my chairs here, and I'm going to scroll through his device with him present, and I'm going to ask him questions while I'm doing it. And just ask them how it's going and kind of run through a bunch of questions. But it also lets me ask them about how life's going overall. So it's more of a checking in on life.
Yes. And that helps build that trust and build that connectivity. And that's what it's all about. And I appreciate that you said just because you put stop gaps or security gates on the phone to see what they're up to with monitoring activities or things like that, there still needs to be a connection. There still needs to be the parent-child relationship building constantly. I really like that bit of feedback.
Yeah, you said a key word there that really jumped out at me. That's been important for my wife and I is trust, because their natural instinct is going to be like, you don't trust me. So you really have to work hard to overcome that and let them know that it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust the world, and the whole world has access to you right now. So you have to like really intentionally overcome that. Because yeah, if you're give me your phone, what are you doing on here? You're going to give that impression that you just don't trust them, and that's going to break down your relationship. And if they feel you don't trust them, they won't come to you with bigger problems than what's maybe going on in their life. So let them know that you're on their team. I'm your biggest fan is one of our, key phrases that we repeat. Like, hey, we're on your team. I'm your biggest fan. It's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust the world.
Monitoring can be such a sensitive subject to broach, right? So thinking about the approach of digital monitoring, there comes benefits and challenges, of course. Do you mind sharing some of your experiences with monitoring? As you've talked a little bit about relationship building and continuously building that trust, of course, sharing your sentiments towards what you're doing and why you're doing it, but also what about some of the things that you may see on the back end of monitoring that other children are sending inappropriate things to your children with the sender not realizing that someone else may be viewing their content? What are some of the other challenges that you faced in that regard?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we talked about trust. And then the other thing is privacy. I don't want to monitor their conversations. And I tell them that I don't want to monitor your conversations, but I got to know what's going on in your world since this seems to be 80% of it, right? All of the kids communicate on Snapchat as opposed to just using a text message. And pretty soon it'll be something else and I'll be outdated again. But in monitoring that situation and inevitably seeing those conversations of what's coming at my child, like from the conversations with his circle of buddies or with my daughter, I leave her out, she's kind of beyond that. She's 19, she's in college, but at the time it was still like, what are girls saying to each other as well? Definitely a different subject matter, but some of the boys might be like, they try to impress each other by seeing who could be grosser almost. And so it's an opportunity for me to talk to my son is like, all right, I want you to be authentic and I want you to be not duplicitous, meaning you live a holistic life. You can't be one face to your youth ministry group, one face to me, and a whole different personality amongst these group of your teammates or whatever, the sport or whatever that talk in this chat room or whatever on Snapchat. So be authentic, be yourself. If you try to uphold two different worlds, be one way to one group and one way to another, it'll burn you out and you won't be happy. So I just use that as an opportunity of like, I just better not hear you or see you talking like that. It stinks that I have to see that person's parent and I feel like I can't really say anything and cross that boundary of privacy. And it's not, but hey, I want you to be the better man and not delve into that conversation and not encourage it. I'm not asking you to preach to them and tell them they're wrong or they need to clean up their act, but don't encourage it either.
Yeah, it's such a tough position to be in for both the parent and the child. But I think, again, having these connection points makes such a big difference in being proactive and having those teachable moments.
It's tough, man.
Yes, it is. And you've talked about all the different social media and platforms that your kids have used over time and the conversations that you've had. Are there certain social media platforms that you just don't allow your children to use or you discourage them or maybe have bigger limits on any in particular?
Yeah. I think the first battle, and I finally gave some ground on was Snapchat because it was just like so open and it's not as monitorable, but, through these, real tough conversations and we did allow Snapchat and I really just sat down with them to say, here, let's button up some of these security settings. TikTok is one that I'm just still like not on board with. I'm like, you don't need that. Just a time suck. Like you've already got enough going on your device. So I'm still holding ground on that.
That's fair. Absolutely. Thinking about others heading into this space, what advice would you share with parents that are transitioning their children to having their own digital device and getting access to social media?
Oh, I would say number one, you have to be intentional. You have to be proactive. You know, do the research and find some tools that support you as a parent, but don't expect them to replace you as a parent. It's just too important. The whole world can come at them, and then they can have a whole separate life unbeknownst to you if you don't engage and just set the ground rules. Oh, one other thing, when we give them that phone at 8th grade graduation, I give them a contract. I write up a contract. I read the rules. I will do this for you. You will do this for me. These will be some consequences. I love you regardless. You sign here, I'll sign here. Sometimes I got to bust the contract back out to remind them of the ground rules, but at least they know going in, we love them. We want them to be their best selves, have their best lives. We're not trying to shield them from the world. We trust you. We don't trust the world. But so just being intentional, build trust, and use it as an opportunity to have, life discussions with your kids, more than just begrudgingly having to monitor this thing. You can actually turn it into a positive and turn it into, I get to set these rules that we're going to have a daily and maybe every other day, or, sometimes you miss a day or you don't need to for different reasons, but you have these set moments to talk about life and teachable moments.
That's great. I think the communication and the relationships, I heard you talk about a lot, and it is very clear that that's important for you and your family. So that's great. Thank you. Okay, another question, just kind of a more personal question. So let's say you took a break from social media for a week and you just have some downtime and you want to read a book. What would your book recommendation be?
Well, right now, I've got a book that I am trying to find time to get more than one page through at a time. It's called Freed to Lead. It's a book through this workout group called F3. It's something I'm a part of, and it's just how to be a better man, better husband, better father, but just all those aspects of your life. So it's called Freed to Lead, and I'm trying to make some headway through it. I need to take a week off of social media so I can crank it out.
There you go. That sounds good.
Love it. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron, so much. Please let your lovely wife and family know that we greatly appreciate your time and thank them for letting you give us that time. So again, we really appreciate you joining us and sharing your insights. This was a fantastic conversation.
You're welcome.
Yes, and this is gonna be me soon. So I'm getting some good advice from you.
Awesome.
My son will be 10 in March. So
this feedback
is
double
great.
Digits.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks again. I'll be chatting with you soon.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you both.
See you, Aaron.
See ya.
Bye. Oh, wow. What a conversation we just had with Aaron. What stands out to me, what's so impressive, is the trust that they're building within their family dynamic. And I know that he would want to make sure that his wife, Maureen, gets a ton of credit in this regard as well. Just having such a broad outlook with 5 children spanning from graduated college to elementary school and monitoring social media activities, keeping up with daily interactions and engagements. Kudos to them for building such a great safe space within their family in which they can have two-way dialogue around social media and digital devices.
Absolutely. And creating that trust is not easy. It takes, I can't even imagine how many conversations and just different things that they've gone through to get to that point. But you can tell just talking to him, like how important that trust is to build with his kids. That was a great conversation.
I am on the opposite spectrum of you. I'm an empty nester. You are going into the situation where you're about to hand over digital devices here soon, if it's not already in progress. But just building that trust through, hey, we're here to support you. I'm your number one fan. I want to make sure you're protected. I want to make sure you have everything you need. And I want to make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to harm you in your own right or your own future. I think it's so critical.
Right. And you're right. I have one that will be 10 soon, and I'll be dealing with this. Aaron gave me so many good tips that I'm thinking about using, but he's absolutely right in saying, like, if you use your phone wrong or you use your device wrong, I'm not just going to take it away. I'm going to teach you and talk to you and have those conversations so that, I do trust you, but I want to make sure that it's being used right. So I loved that.
Speaking of, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I've gone through this. My oldest is well beyond school age, and he actually was around in the early Twitter days, and that was for my oldest, that was his main social media account. And we had some ups and downs. I think everybody was learning Twitter at that time, and we had some really good conversations, which was great. But I would say for my youngest, he grew up in only a digital environment. That's really all he knows. So I could use that as a little bit of a compass here. I would say late middle school is when we gave him his first device. What are you thinking as far as when do you feel comfortable? Because I think it's different for every parent, which is great. Whatever works for your family dynamic, there's no right or wrong here. But what are your thoughts on that since it is coming up for you?
It is, absolutely. And my husband and I have that conversation often. I was honestly leaning towards sooner than later, and Aaron got me rethinking that. So I think it's just so different because, my son's in fourth grade, and so many fourth graders have phones. So you almost feel like, well, we have to get him one. We have to get him one. But I love that Aaron said that it's not like that. Like, yes, you have to fight that uphill battle, but in the long run, it's probably best to hold him back. So right now he has a device that is not activated. So he makes YouTube videos and uses it for Kid Messenger. And, I kind of check on that. But it's already creating those conversations of, maybe somebody posted something not very nice on YouTube and we have that conversation. But it goes back to managing and having those conversations. So we're definitely starting to get into all those things.
Yes. And I'm a huge proponent of the social media contract. I didn't utilize it. I wish I could go back in time, although we never had any crazy missteps. But I just think it's such a great way to start off this relationship with children, social media, digital devices.
Absolutely. And just teaching them that we're going to have this contract and we expect you to use it appropriately and we'll check in on you. But just focusing on like the positives of using technology. And I loved some of the things he talked about, how they bond as a family over, different Instagram videos, and it can leave you laughing. We definitely have those moments. His YouTube channel though, wow, that was a really great conversation.
It really was. Trick Fusion. I mentioned that I do follow them. I subscribe to their channel. I have a personal relationship with their family, so it was always fun for me to watch them just doing trick shots, and you could just genuinely see how happy they are in doing this.
But even cooler in that conversation was how they decided it was time to be done. They weren't enjoying playing sports anymore. It became too much work. It was overwhelming. I think Aaron instilled so much in them to make them realize that, it had its time and they were done. It ran its course. And I think that's really powerful that they had that moment of clarity where they were like, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah, it's so impressive.
Mm-hmm, very impressive.
For children to come to that type of realization with something so grand and realize the levity of, oh, people are expecting me, people are relying on me to post videos. It's not just me having fun anymore. Now there's something on the other end of this that I have to adhere to, almost my own personal contract to my subscribers. And just to come to that realization is so impressive.
Yes, a lot of pressure put on them that they weren't ready for anymore.
Absolutely. Well, we'll wrap this up. Again, such a great perspective that Aaron brought, the parent perspective. And we expect that there are things that you can take away from this. Again, this is always evolving. There's no right or wrong. There's only adding to your tool belt and bringing new things into your experience and your environment to help our children and ourselves be better with social media and digital devices. Thank you so much for your time and listening.
Thank you, Aaron, for all the great tips you gave me. I might be reaching out again. And remember, in the midst of chaos, there's always a way to find clarity. Have a great day.
Bye.
We are growing and would love your feedback. Please rate us and share your thoughts or any topics you would be interested in us covering in the future. Are you or someone you know interested in being a guest on the podcast? Visit us at chaoticdigitalworld.com.
One way to help support the show is by adding a new resource to your library. Order a copy of A Parent's Guide, Keeping Your Children Safe in a Chaotic Digital World today on Amazon. Follow us on all social media platforms, and don't forget to subscribe to keep updated with new episodes and bonus content. As always, thank you for listening. This episode of Chaotic Digital World is brought to you in part by Next Steps Inc. Next Steps, a software created for schools or organizations to transform the way we think about attendance management. Did you know? When an institution or organization uses 5 minutes per day for 6 sessions, that's equivalent to 15 wasted hours per month. And if there's an emergency evacuation, emergency personnel have to go in and search for those who may be hiding. We've solved those problems and more. At Next Steps, you can say goodbye to manual attendance and hello to efficiency and productivity. Our software automates the entire process, saving you time and resources. Visit us on our website at next-stepsinc.com to book a demo and learn more. We're waiting to speak with you.